Well, grand rising, and welcome to Ilana Monet's motivational moment. Before I start, I have to do my salutations. Abaragani, Assalamu alaikum, Ikahru. Now that I've done my salutations, let's get into the meat of the message for today. Oh, just before I forget, guys, go to my YouTube page, Ilana Monet. Go to my YouTube page and like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Ilana Monet. I think it's Ilana Monet Hatter. I'm pretty sure it is. But go there and you can check out all my videos and everything, okay? So now let's get into the meat of the message for today. African American history before 1865. The slavery expansion into the early republic. The slavery expansion in the U.S. or the United States was driven by economic, political, and technology factors. The invention of the cotton gin, the Louisiana Purchase, and the growing demand for cash crops fueled and spread of slavery across the South and into new territories. These expansions have profound consequences for African American communities, tearing apart families and intensifying oppression. It also sparks resistance and the abolition movement, setting the stage for deepening sectional conflicts with the ultimate lead to the Civil War. Now let's talk about key events. Key events and a timeline. Slave trade legally ended in 1808, but the illegal smuggling continued for decades. Cotton gin, invented by Eli Whitney in 1793, revitalized cotton production, leading to increased demand for slave labor. Enabled faster processes for short staple cotton, which could be given in a wider range of areas. The Louisiana Purchase in 1803 doubled the size of the United States, giving the vast new territory for slavery to expand into. The Second Great Awakening, which happened 1790 through 1840, sparks religious revivals but also inspired abolitionists to fight against slavery. The Missouri Compromise of 1820 attempted to balance slavery and the slaves in free states, but ultimately failed to resolve tension. It admitted the Missouri as a slave state and Maine as a free state. Prohibited slaves north of latitude 3630 in the Louisiana Territory. Nat Turner's Rebellion in 1831 was one of the deadliest slave revolts, resulting in stricter slave codes and increased white fear. Now, with the Nat Turner Rebellion, he decided that he did not want to be a slave anymore, so he staged a rebellion. Now, after the rebellion happened, he ultimately got killed. And what they did was they took pieces of his body as souvenirs, postcards, shoes, purses, clothing. So they used his skin for certain items to show that this is what happens when you buck the system. Now the political factors and litigation. The Three-Fourths Compromise in 1718 counted slaves as 3/4 of a person for representation in Congress, giving Southern states more political power. The Fugitive Slave Act in 1973 required runaway slaves to be returned to their owners even if they escaped to a free state. Updated in 1850 were harsher penalties for non-compliance and fewer protections for accused runaways. Northwest Ordinance of 1780 prohibits slavery in the Northwest Territory, but allowed for slaves to be recaptured if they escaped from there. The Kansas City, Nebraska Act of 1853 repealed the Missouri Compromise, allowing settlers in their territories to decide on slavery through popular sovereignty. Dred Scott and Sanford Supreme Court decision in 1857 ruled that African Americans were not citizens and Congress could not ban slavery in territories. Invalidated the Missouri Compromise and allowed slavery to extend into all slavery territories. Now, the economic drives of slavery. Increasing global demand for cotton, tobacco, sugar, and other cash crops fueled expansion of the slave-based agriculture. Cotton production soared from 7,500 to bales in 1830 to 2.8 million bales in 1850. The slave trade began a massive business with over 1 million slaves forcibly transported from Africa to the U.S. before 1808. Domestic slave trade continued to forcibly relocate slaves from Upper South to Deep South. Slave labor provided an inexpensive workforce that maximized profit for plantation owners. Slavery was deeply entangled with the banking, shipping, textile, and manufacturing industries in both the North and the South. Slave owners' wealth was largely based on the value of their enslaved people who they could treat as condiments. Slavery could be sold, a slave could be sold, rented, or used as collateral and leverage to raise capital. In the global expansion, slavery expanded into the Atlantic coast, into the Deep South, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and also went west to Texas. Centered in the Black Belt region, known as the fertile soil and suitable for cotton, forcible migration of over 1 million slaves from Upper South to Deeper South through domestic slave trade destroyed families and social networks as people were separated and sold. The Indian Removal Act of 1830 forcibly relocated Native American tribes, opening up new lands for slavery to trade. Cherokee, Chickasaw, Chippewa, Creek, and Somalian slaves or Somalian tribes were affected. U.S. annex of Texas in 1845 and the Mexican-American War in 1846 to 1848 added a vast new slavery territory in the Southwest. The Kansas-Nebraska Act opened these territories to slavery, leading to violent conflicts known as the Bleeding Kansas. The impact of African American communities. The expansion of slavery tore apart families and communities forcibly migration and sale. Marriages had no legal standing and children could be sold away from parents. Harsher slave codes restricted mobility, banned education, and increasing punishment to respond to revolts. Domestic slave trade created a massive forced migration with relocating over 1 million African Americans, caused several psychological and drama, and destroyed social ties. Free black communities face increasing restrictions, discrimination, and the threat of being kidnapped back into slavery. Many states required free blacks to carry papers providing their status. Some African traditions, language, music, and religious practices were maintained despite this oppression. The Gullah culture in the Sealands blended African and American influences. Now, the resistance and the abolition movement. Slaves engaged in various forms of resistance, including work slowdown, sabotage, escape, and rebellion. The Strano Rebellion in 1739 and the New York Conspiracy in 1741 was notable early revolts. Mules escaped slavery, established independent communities in a remote area like the Great Decimal Swamp. Free black abolitionists like Frederick Douglass, Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman played a key role in fighting for slavery. Douglass published the influential anti-slavery newspaper, The North Star. White abolitionists like William Lloyd Garrison and Jelinki Sisters also organized and advocated against slavery. American Anti-Slavery Society, founded in 1833 to promote immediate stop. Underground Railroad helped thousands of slaves escape to freedom in the North and in Canada. Harriet Tubman guided over 300 slaves to freedom as the most famous conductor. Cultural and social consequences. Slavery forced a culture of white supremacy and racism that justified the inhuman treatment of African Americans. The scientific theory of racial inferiority were used to rationalize slavery. Propaganda customized master-slave relationships as the plantation owners styled themselves as beloved father figures. Used to mask the inherent violence and oppression in the system, enslaved people developed a distinct African American culture, blending African and American influences. Evident in foodways, music, language, and religion practices and crafts. Intersexual or interrelational marriages, which was due to the rape of enslaved women by African men, led to the mixed race children among enslaved based on the status of the mother. The abolitionist literature like Harriet Beecher Stowe, Uncle Tom's Cabin in 1852 swayed the Northern public opinion about slavery. It depicted the harsh realities of human cost of slavery. Now the legacy and long-term effects. Slavery expanded entrenched systematic slavery or racism and inequalities that persisted long after the cause. The evidence of segregation, discrimination, wealth discrepancies, and mass incarceration. The federal lost cause myth romanticized slavery and the Amabella South with promoting white supremacy. Justified through memorials, organizations, and historical textbooks. The reparations for blacks or slavery continue to be a debate as a way to address economic and social discrepancies. Slavery legacy contribute to the Great Depression of African Americans from the South to the North in the early 20th century. The sought to escape oppression and depression or discrimination for better opportunities. Ongoing racial inequalities and tensions can be traced back to slavery and its aftermath. It sparked the modern civil rights movement and the Black Lives Matter activists. Slavery, central role of American history and economic, makes it an enduring and intense issue. It shaped debates over racism, justice, and national identity. It is very amazing how when people want to justify what they do, especially our counterparts, they do it with a law so that they have something binding. We can march all day, we can fight all day, we can talk all day, but until you have it on paper, until it is a law, until we're able to change the laws to help African Americans, we are always going to be on the outside looking in. We're always going to be left out. We're always going to be fighting against the inequalities that we set forth, or that they set forth for us. It is amazing to me how people could take a whole race of people, not just one person, but a whole race of people, and gentrify them as lazy, gentrify them as non-productive, and call them 3/4 of a citizen, when we have created everything in America was created on the backs of African Americans. The economic system, the social system, the culture was built on the backs of African Americans. So my brothers and sisters out there, don't think of yourself as if you are nothing. You are powerful. You are and you're wanted and you're needed and you're desired. for a time as this. Understand your position, understand your role, and then walk through it. Not only that, grab another brother and pull him with you. Kicking and screaming sometimes, but we got to pull them with you. So with that being said, guys, I got to go. I love you, but honey, God loves you more. And remember, I'll see you at the top because the bottom is way too crowded. Don't forget to look me up on YouTube, Yolanda Monet. Bye.